emerged. Okay. Now you need to understand, when Weber was writing, we did have positivism, which I have discussed in the last class. Okay. We need to know that what is Weber's sociology. Okay. What is his articulation on sociology. Okay. Before we understand his work on social action. So first of all of you understand that he has always took a stance against the large scale evolutionary sociology. Okay. So pehla point, he took a very strong stance against this large scale evolutionary sociology. Okay. So you would see this. He was against large scale evolutionary sociology. Okay. But eventually he has used Weristian method, or all his research tools basically help him also to understand large scale macro aspects only. Okay. So in fact he said that in order to put an end to those collectivist notions, he became one of that sociologists. So it's a paradox. Okay, so it's a paradox. So Weber always wanted to have micro interpretations, or you can say interpretivist approach, right? But then eventually he is using tools, but to explain micro institutions. Okay, so you can say that for him it was really important that how actions are how actions are taking places in our social world. Okay, and to understand and to explore the meaning behind social actions, he has used individualistic method. Okay, so he was against this macro interpretation, right? But eventually he became one. This is a paradox. Okay, this is a paradox. Eventually, okay, his sociology was debunking macro aspects of society. Nevertheless, he made a base, establishes a base. Nevertheless, he establishes a base, okay, for microsociology. Okay, that is in microsociology, that is symbolic interactionism. Okay, and his theory was interpretivist. Okay, so he did use individualistic method. Weber was forced to admit, okay, so Weber was forced to admit that it is impossible to eliminate, like, to eliminate totally collective ideas from sociology. Okay, so he did acknowledge this point also, that though he wanted to take individualistic method, he wanted to know subjective understanding, but he was totally forced to admit this part as well. Okay, so this is what you have to see. Now, do write on this part. Okay, so he said that his approach was individualistic approach. Okay, his approach was individualistic in nature. But he was forced to admit that sociology cannot go away from collective entities. Okay. ये बहुत important part है to have conceptual clarity. So he was forced that sociology, from sociology, you can't, sociology, from sociology can't eliminate collective aspects. Okay, this was very important. He was forced to believe that, you cannot eliminate collective aspects. Is this clear? This is somewhere written in 154 slide number, okay? But even when he admitted the significance of collective concepts, Weber ultimately reduced them to patterns and regularities of individual actions. Okay? ये बहुत, यहाँ पे आप लोगों को अगर clarity आ गई, then it is done. Okay? Why he was forced? Because by the 1864, 1920, he is writing, we know that Auguste Comte has already written and given a lot of concepts for sociology, right? Karl Marx's work was there, other thinkers, Herbert Spencer's work was there, right? Durkheim work was there. So, Karl Marx, Durkheim, Auguste Comte, Spencer's, okay, all these people who were exploring society, who is trying to understand how society works, how individuals have been shaped up by this societal action. He said that, okay, he is admitting the significance of collective concepts. Okay, so the important part here is he admitted the importance of collective concepts. But what a catch here? What a catch? He reduced this collective concepts. Okay, he reduces these collective concepts to patterns and regularities of individual action. Okay. So even though he is arguing that economical institution, that is capitalism mode of production, which ushered in 19th century or in the mid of 18th century, it is a resultant of individuals' actions. So do you understand this? He is arguing and looking at two macro institutions. One is economy, other one is, tell me, religion. Economy and religion, both are macro. These are structural. But when he is analyzing, he reduces it to the patterns and regularities of individual action. So religion is bringing values that is followed by individuals. Right? So religion again reduce it to the patterns and regularities, that is The interpretation, okay, he interpreted John Calvinist view or Protestant views. हाँ, प्रोटेस्टेंट की व्यूज को इन्होंने बिल्कुल पैटर्न की तरफ प्रोड्यूस कर दिया, इजंट इट? अब उसके बाद क्या किया बताओ? अब इन्होंने बोला कि यही जो व्यूज है इन लोगों ने इम्बाइब करी, इसके वजह से इन्होंने एक कैपिटलिस्ट मोड ऑफ प्रोडक्शन किया, क्योंकि उसमें एक्सपेंशन चाहिए, यहीं से आपको वेल्थ मिलेगा, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा. Now, what I want right now today, do an experiment or do practice this. So this part which I have explained to you, can you see this? These 2 points, Max Weber, sociology. Now try to write 4 lines of introduction. What is the problem with all of us? We don't practice where it is required. I can give you in writing the content which I have just shown to all of you. It is from the original books. I mean, I'm not saying that I have read the German sociology, but the good books, okay, at the time of my PhD. All the content which I am giving, it is from my collections on thinkers. My notes, my personal notes. Okay, I can give references also. So now, see, what is the point? Do understand. I forgot your name, beta. Prince and Yadav, and all others who are listening to me. We need to understand this. Okay, we need to understand that in articulating the view, in articulating Weber's view in sociology, right? You will realize that Weber often took a stance against that I don't want this large scale evolutionary sociology, it is not helping us. But eventually he became one. And this happened, and they admit, he has admitted also, this requires a lot of guts. So Weber said, I became one in order to put an end to collectivist notions. This is from original. If you want, you can write it down. Weber said, I became one in order to put an end to collectivist notions. Now, you must be knowing that we are preparing definitely for civil services, and the problem is definitely not that it is difficult. Reading sociology and the kind of topics we have, the most ultimate, the most easiest options we have, anthropology, sociology, these all are very easy. Philosophy, easy. Okay? But what I'm trying to tell, that you need some good content which is not being used by everyone. You should not read the regular books. Okay, ChatGPT, AI, the books which is available in Karol Bagh market. You should not take that. Okay. Anyhow, with good content and good writing practices, you will be able to fetch good marks easily. Okay. Now you can see that what he did. Batao, in other words, sociology for him is about one action leads to another actions. तो साइड में कहीं लिख लो of individuals. So he used individualistic method. Okay, he used individualistic method despite his stated adherence to individualistic method. Weber was forced, okay, to admit that it is impossible to eliminate totally collective ideas from sociology. Okay, so he said, okay, fine. Then what he did, he smartly, very beautifully, despite all his, compulsion on him, okay, what he did, he reduced it to ultimately patterns and regularities of individual actions. Now, whatsoever I have explained, this is the core and this is the original. Now, when a question is coming on Weber, you must use your smart mind, be critical. You can always start and always make 4 lines introduction ready. Ready-made introduction. In case question come on Weber, this is the core principle. Max Weber always used a stand against collectivist ideas, though he was forced to believe or adhere that sociology cannot be completely, it is impossible, it cannot completely eliminate collective ideas. But what is important, Weber ultimately reduced them to patterns and regularities of individual actions. Unique, the most unique introduction you will start. And this is so core. It requires, lot of hard work to explain in some few lines entire Weber's sociology. Now, why can't we do this, Aryan? Huh? What's your name? फुल नेम बता दो मुझे. Vikram. Vikram याद रहेगा. So, you know what? I don't feel like calling, I mean, see, the beauty is about these classes, it's that, we have small batches. So, small batches का मतलब यही होता है कि students के नाम याद रखो, but since you have recently joined तो याद नहीं हो रहा है. और तुम बहुत absent भी होते हो. ठीक है? अब आप समझे Prince, okay? That you people, all of you, okay, you people just have to understand reduced and make a introduction, and this is where you have to work hard. Okay, now whatever I have explained, can you practice it right now? Just practice it. You can use 2 lines introduction or 3 lines introduction. You write down this. After that, you people have to write what I am writing on board. Keep writing this. Of subjectively understandable action. This is again from originals. Okay. Sometimes you can get questions on these things. Okay. Because this is a pattern I have realized that UPSC is always asking on theme-based questions whenever they are referring basically originals. Written? I'll make you write then his analysis on this. Okay, just write down this, then I will explain the easy language on this. Written now? Okay. See this statement which you can see here. Try to understand. Okay. एक बारी खुद से पढ़ने की कोशिश करो. See, for the subjective interpretation of action in sociological work, these collectivities must be treated as solely the resultants and modes of organization of the particular acts of individual persons, since these alone can be treated as agents in course of subjectively understandable action. Okay, so this statement by Max Weber is taken from Economy and Society. Keep writing. अच्छे अच्छे आंसर्स में रट्टाफिकेशन नहीं चलता. Better do analysis. Break them into interconnected parts. Okay. So this statement is taken by Max Weber, Economy and Society. Okay. मैक्स वेबर का ये स्ट्रॉन्ग स्टेटमेंट है. इसका मतलब क्या है? इन सोशियोलॉजी वी शुड सी, जस्ट अंडरस्टैंड दैट ऑल द थिंकर्स, ओके, दे आर ऑलवेज एक्सप्लेनिंग कि सोशियोलॉजी है क्या, आपको समझना क्या है, राइट? आर यू अंडरस्टैंड इट? सो हाउ वी शुड अंडरस्टैंड सोसाइटी? So basically, he's arguing that we should understand society by focusing on individual actions and their meanings. Okay, so he's arguing that we should keep writing. We should understand society by focusing on individual actions and their meanings. And their meanings. Okay, so this is what you have to understand. Fine. Weber argues that groups, do write down this. Weber argues that groups like state, class or society. Weber का कहना है, Weber argues that group or state or society. Okay, group, state or society or class do not act on their own. Okay, do not act on their own. It is an individual act. For example, right now in this class, if we start protesting, so we may say that class is like, is on protest, but it is individual actions. No, my action, your action, your action. Okay, so it's only individual acts. Is this clear? Now, next point which you people have to understand. Okay, these collectivities are simply, यहाँ पे हम लिखेंगे जो उसमें लिखा है. Okay, these collectivities are simply resultant. These collectivities are simply the result of many individual actions. The result of many individual actions. Okay, चाहे जो भी हो, organized together. तो भाई point क्या है? आप एक ग्रुप की बात कर रहे हैं, लेट्स जस्ट से प्रोटेस्टेंट्स. ठीक है, ये जितने भी प्रोटेस्टेंट्स हैं, ये सारे ही एक इंडिविजुअल्स है ना, राइट? तो आप अगर आप कह भी रहे हो कि हमको मैक्रो एनालिसिस करनी है, मैक्रो रिजल्ट एनालिसिस करनी है, तो इट इज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ मेनी इंडिविजुअल एक्शन ऑर्गेनाइज टुगेदर. The result of many individuals' actions organized together. समझ में आया? Therefore, to explain social phenomena, write down. इसीलिए मैक्स वेबर का कहना है, therefore, to explain social phenomena, we must interpret the intentions, motives and meanings. अब आप इसको ऐसे समझो, कोई भी एक ग्रुप है, राइट? लेट्स जस्ट से यहाँ पे कुछ लोगों का ग्रुप है, ठीक है, इनका कुछ कॉमन गोल तो होगा, लेकिन यही बाद में भी आप सर्टिफिकेशन पढ़ोगे तो क्लैरिटी आएगी. कॉमन गोल होगा, लेकिन कई कई बार होता है ना, सिर्फ एक इंसान पूरे प्रोटेस्ट को हाई फाई सक्सेसफुल कर देगा और एक ही इंडिविजुअल के एक्शन फेलियर कर देगा. एंड देयर इज अ प्रोवर्ब आल्सो, एक गंदी मछली पूरे तालाब को खराब कर देती है, राइट? तो आपको यही समझना है कि इंडिविजुअल एक्शंस को समझना बहुत जरूरी है. एक इंडिविजुअल can actually create transformation in society. That is what explained by Max Weber while he's explaining politics and inner politics versus vocation. What types of authority? Have you ever met, आप देखो कि बहुत सारे टीचर्स मिलते हैं, पॉलिटिशियंस मिलते हैं, उनका कैरिज्मा ही अलग होता है. They walk, they will teach you something. Have you ever met? मैंने तो बहुत ऐसे प्रोफेसर्स देखे अपनी लाइफ में. नेल्सन मंडेला, अथॉरिटी, कैरिज्मेटिक अथॉरिटी, तो वो एक ही तो इंसान है ना. अंबेडकर was one individual, गांधी was one individual, गौतम बुद्ध was one individual. एक इंडिविजुअल ने पूरा ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन लिया है कि नहीं लिया आया? Are you understanding? So it is important to understand कि कोई सोशल फिनोमिना आप पढ़ रहे हैं, उसमें इंडिविजुअल का इंटेंशन क्या, उनका मोटिव्स क्या, उनका मीनिंग्स क्या, और वो अगर आपने सोशियोलॉजी थोड़ी सी और डीपर पढ़ ली, you can understand it like this, the way I understand people. Okay, so you people have to see this point. Understand the intentions, motives, meanings, and that is there in, if anyone is trying to manipulating you, okay, people would come and manipulate you. Let them be very smart. Let them think that they are the most intelligent and the most, smartest person on this planet. Let them, let them guide you. Let them, you know, let them put articulation, or you can say comments on you, taunt on you. Let them do that, because while they are enjoying and doing this, you start reading their motives. You start reading their intentions. Never ever show that how intelligent you people are. Never ever show that how strong you are until unless it is required. Why I yesterday, if you have seen, and you will see that personally I like Max Weber, because to understand Max Weber you need lot of books, lot of because वो कह क्या रहे हैं समझ ही नहीं आ रहा है. पूरी लाइफ वो अगेंस्ट है कि भाई ये डर्कहाइम क्या कर रहा है, मैक्रो इंटरप्रिटेशन क्या कर रहा है, मैक्रो इंटरप्रिटेशन क्या. इन दी एंड ही सेइंग आई एंडेड अप बीइंग वन. So yeah, this is very funny. This is like, it's a humor. It's a philosophical thing. Why? Do not let enemy know what you are doing. While he was writing, everybody was thinking individual. But उन्होंने जो एक established tradition था, positivist tradition, फ्रांस का या फिर सोशियोलॉजी का, उसी को उन्होंने क्रिटिसाइज कर दिया एंड रिप्लेस्ड हो गया. ओके तो जब अगर आपके इंटेंशन, क्योंकि जब वो खुद ही बोल रहे हैं that whatsoever the state, whatsoever the class, whatsoever the group, it is ultimately individual actions, right? So you need to understand the meaning, motives behind people's actions, subjective understanding और Weristian. ठीक है, लिखा ये वाला point? You want me to dictate? लिखो. Therefore, to explain social phenomena, we must, therefore, to explain social phenomena, comma, we must interpret the intentions, motives, and meanings behind people's actions. Subjective understanding, ब्रैकेट में लिख देना बच्चे, subjective understanding और Weristian. Weristian का क्या मतलब है, याद है? All of you, बच्चे, Weristian याद है ना? Okay. अब इसको कंक्लूड कर दो, ये पूरे पैराग्राफ को. इन शॉर्ट, कुछ भी लिख सकते हो. आई एम मेकिंग यू राइट दिस. इन शॉर्ट, कॉमा, सोसाइटी इज बिल्ड फ्रॉम इंडिविजुअल्स. भाई ये आपका पूरा का पूरा 250 मार्क्स में 150 175 जो भी होगा, 125 का ही ऐसे आया हुआ है, एक इंडिविजुअल वर्सेस सोसाइटी. In short, comma, society is built from individuals, comma, and sociological analysis should start from individual level meaning and action. Individual level meaning and action. Okay, is this clear? एक नाम लिखेंगे whenever you want to, like, give that how Weber work is one of the interpretators name. I'm making you write. Is there? Write down. The name is wrote. Just a moment. I'm making, bringing in my notes. I have, yeah. Write down Guenther. ये जो मैंने भी एक्सप्लेन किया है, तो इसको रेफरेंस देखो. जब भी आपको अपना आंसर बताना है ना, तो आपको रेफरेंस जरूर देना चाहिए, ठीक है? क्योंकि रेफरेंस से क्या होती है, ऑथेंटिसिटी आंसर की बढ़ जाती है. ओके, तो एक इंटरप्रिटेटर है, उनकी ही वर्क को मैं कोट कर रही हूँ. गुएन, Guenther wrote. Okay, so one of the good interpreters on Weber's work, Guenther wrote. और भी बहुत सारे हैं. एक और है मेरी फुलब्रुक, इनका भी नाम लिख लीजिएगा. MARY, मैरी फुलब्रुक. ओके, मैरी फुलब्रुक. He has criticized, actually, राइट में लिख दो, that Weber's work motives is not very directly is explaining. Okay, so थोड़ा vague है. Okay, she is talking about that. It is on slide number 128. It is on slide number 128. Okay, so social structural conditions under which certain forms of meanings and motivation can achieve in historical efficiency. Okay, so she is actually first of all criticizing. देखो easy language में लिखो. So Philbrook is criticizing that a lot of importance, unnecessary importance Weber has given on motives and meanings in casual explanation of social actions, and it does not correspond adequately with the true mode of explanation involved in his comparative historical studies, let's just say, of the world religion. ओके, सो फिल्ब्रुक भी इसको क्रिटिसाइज कर रही है. सो उनका एक्सप्लेनेशन है, राइट डाउन व्हाट इज शी सेइंग. Although we must understand individual actions and motives, the okay, Philbrook is saying this. लिख लो अच्छा. So according to Philbrook, Mary Philbrook, although he is saying that we must do this and that, okay, Weber is saying although, right on, Weber is saying that although we start, ये उनका इंटरप्रिटेशन है वेबर को लेके, और ये बिल्कुल करेक्ट है. ओके, वेबर इज एक्चुअली सेइंग, और although Weber is saying that although we start by understanding the individual meanings and motives, the final explanation or the ultimate explanation, or the ultimate explanation of social events lies in larger social and structural conditions. समझ में आया? मतलब आप जब अपनी रिसर्च स्टार्ट करते हो, यू स्टार्ट विद इंडिविजुअल्स एक्शंस और मोटिव्स को समझ के. ठीक है, इंडिविजुअल एक्शंस और मोटिव्स आप समझ रहे होते हो. इज दिस क्लियर? लेकिन ये जो इंडिविजुअल एक्शंस है या मोटिव्स है, इज आर्गुइंग द फाइनल एक्सप्लेनेशन ऑफ सोशल इवेंट्स. जो भी मेजर सोशल इवेंट्स होते हैं, इट्स लाइंग इन मैक्रो स्ट्रक्चर. ओके, इट इज लाइंग इन लार्जर सोशल स्ट्रक्चर. ओके, larger social conditions. So in simple terms, people act based on their beliefs. Okay, people act based on their beliefs and motivations. But whether these ideas, write down, but whether these ideas actually change history depends on the social structure. such as economy, institutions, or power relations. But whether these ideas actually change history depends on the social structure. Depends on the social structure, such as economy, institutions, and power relations. So people, first of all, acted on their beliefs and motivations, like religion, values, ideas. But whether these ideas actually change history, but whether these ideas actually change history depends on the social structure, such as economy, institutions, and power relations. Okay? And that is what he is explaining in his work, The Protestant Ethic and the Spirit of Capitalism. Is this clear? So Weber is basically interested in, write down, what individuals do and why do they do it? What and why is basic questions for Weber. Yeah. Anything? Weber has focuses on large scale structures like bureaucracy or capitalism. So what is bureaucracy? What is capitalism? And not exactly focusing on what individual is doing in this. Okay? So for Weber, sociology should be treated as science, okay? But what? The interpretation of social actions, okay? So you can see that Weber's work reveals a tension between individualistic and subjectivist methodology, okay? And this is a central theme in understanding Weber's contribution to sociology. Fine? In fact, he has defined that sociology is interpretation of social actions. Write down. According to Max Weber, sociology is a science. According to Max Weber, sociology is a science. Sociology is a science concerning itself with the interpretative understanding, concerning itself with the interpretive understanding of social action, and thereby with a casual explanation of its course, and consequences. Okay, is this now clear? Right? So that is why his major work is on social action. So he has actually differentiated, okay? Weber has differentiated between pure social action and reactive behavior. And reactive behavior, okay? So when does action occurs, okay, or social action occurs? Action occurs when individuals attach, when attach subjective meanings to their actions. Okay. Now you people should write notes. Let me open the PPT. Just a moment. So I'll show you that what you people have to just, okay, write it down. Make your notes in your separate notebook, which I have asked you to make for thinkers. 137 में जो page है, that you people have to write it down. This page. Okay, please write down. Yes, these 2 points. Sociological analysis involves the interpretation of action in terms of its subjective meanings. Economic action defined as conscious primary orientation. This is an example. Okay, write it down. You can see this, okay? Sociological involves the interpretation of action in terms of its subjective meanings. Now, mental process in Weber's analysis. This is the point which actually got explained by Emile Durkheim too. Emile ने भी ये explain किया था, Weber भी ये explain कर रहा है कि that it is not like psychology. Okay, when we are looking into the interpretations, what is going on in your mind, we are not trying to understand why and what an individual is saying. Okay, so for us it is important to know how those social conditions made him think like whatsoever he is thinking. Okay, so for us individual is just not a subject. So while Weber implied a concern with mental process, he spent little time on them in his work. Okay, So he is just simply talking about that we are interested in actions of individuals. Okay. So individual pattern of actions, not on the collectivity. Individual patterns of actions. So collectivities are treated as resultant and modes of organization of individual acts or the subjective interpretation of actions. Okay. There is individuals, not collectivities. Now ideal type methodology. Weber utilized ideal type methodology to clarify the meaning of actions. What is ideal type? It is his tool. Okay, ideal type जो है एक tool है जिससे उन्होंने एक imagination किया, false imagination. It can be like a heuristic tools. But okay, if I want to study religion में क्या क्या हो सकता है? एक फिगर बना लिया रिलीजन का हाइपोथेसिस और अब मैं फील्ड में जाके उसको रिसर्च कर रही हूँ. So that is what ideal type. Okay, we will see. So first of all, you will see इन्होंने क्या करा, सोशल एक्शंस के टाइप्स को अपने दिमाग में बना लिया दैट ओके सोशल एक्शंस है उसके कैटेगरीज हैं. ओके, तो पहला एक्शन उन्होंने बताया मीन्स एंड रैशनैलिटी. दैट इज प्रैक्टिकल, यू कैन से action determined by expectation as conditions or means for the attainment of the actor's calculated need ends. Okay, so I want wealth, for that I will hard work or whatsoever. जो भी पैसा कमाना है, ठीक है, so whatever your ends is, how you are achieving it. Then value rationality, it is a conscious belief. Okay, values. Action determined by a conscious belief in the value for its own sake, independently of prospect for success. Values. Okay, तो कुछ actions आपकी जो needs है उसको fulfill करने के लिए है, कुछ actions आपकी values की तरफ से आ रहे हैं. सारे overlapping आपको दिखेंगे. ठीक है, you will find all these social actions are overlapping. So he is actually talking about that some actions are practical actions. Okay, means ends. Some are influenced or determined by values. तो हम कुछ actions अपनी values की वजह से करते हैं. Okay, then effectual actions, इनमें इसने बहुत ज्यादा नहीं फोकस किया है. That is the emotional state. Traditional actions determined by the actor's habitual and customary ways of behaving. Okay, so traditional actions, greater concern. For example, patriarchy, matriarchy, those are traditions. Weber recognized that any given action involves a combination of all four ideal types. Traditional actions है कि मंदिर जा ही रहे हैं तो जा ही रहे हैं, ancestors हमारे जा रहे हैं. Okay, अब वो हमारी रूटीन बन चुका है. So ways of behaving. So Weber's typology of action with a focus on rationality and subjective meaning form the basis for understanding larger social structures and institutions in his sociology. Okay. Now, when you people are going to read this from 143, that is the value addition I have given. Okay, you can read it. It is again from the original words which I have already explained. Okay. Now, I will just give you one content on social actions. Okay. Fine. Before I start, I want 10 minutes का question का point. कल मैंने एक question लिखवाया था. Answer लिखा? क्या लिखा introduction में? ओके, ठीक है, तो आपको मैं 5 to 6 मिनट देती हूँ, उसको कंप्लीट करो एंड आई विल गिव यू क्विक फीडबैक इन द क्लास ओनली. आई विल गिव यू क्विक फीडबैक इन द क्लास ओनली. आपके लिए एक नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, आप लोग को एक क्वेश्चन. अरे यार, किसके पास है? मेरे पास है. ठीक है, मुझे देखना पड़ेगा कॉपी स्टेप होके. आप अभी इस पे लिख लो फिर. Explain Weber's sociology with his emphasis on the importance of individualistic approach. Individualistic approach. ज्यादा टाइम नहीं देना है, ठीक है, 10 मिनट्स में करिए ताकि मैं क्विक फीडबैक दूं क्लास में. ओनली 10 मिनट्स. ओके, उसके बाद विल कंटिन्यू सोशल एक्शन. ओ, सोशल एक्शंस का मैं बस एक मॉडल आंसर लिखवाऊंगी आप लोगों को. कंटेंट, यू नो, व्हाट इज सोशल एक्शन, व्हाट आर द टाइप्स ऑफ सोशल एक्शंस.